Here we are. Hello, everybody. With a friend that you know already is Philipp Druzhinin. How, Phil? How are you?
Yeah, pretty much fine. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Here is start to be summer. You know, in Italy is a bit hot, but yeah, I don't like hot, but I like summer. So yeah, I'm good in this way.
Yeah,
Where are you now?
I'm around the area of Crimea, maybe 100 kilometers from it, so Black Sea, at my second
Okay,
apartment.
it's hot.
Just, uh, it's like 30 degrees, a little breeze,
Yeah,
so
yeah. Here also the
getting
same.
hotter and hotter each day. But it's not
Yeah.
yet a swimming weather. It's like 90 degrees water temperature, so I'm not swimming yet.
Okay. Oh, how is in Crimea the situation? I know that in Italy comes a lot of news about the war between Russia and Ukraine. So how is now there?
How is it? It's getting complicated. It's like phase by phase, step by step situation. So uh, one does provoke to increase something, the other side is doing it eventually. Of course, um our government pretends that they don't want to do it. They don't want. They want like a peace treaty, and it also came available. The situation was already going to be a peace in March and April of 2022, but it ended up Boris Johnson to arrive to Ukraine and maybe send a message from Biden or whoever's behind Biden. I don't know, because Biden is definitely not the decision maker in the
Yeah,
United States.
sure.
So is Boris Johnson, as we see. But they could be just officers who come to inspect or whatever they do with the amount of money that they sent here in Ukraine. So there's a big corruption. A bunch of newspapers and media is posting that. Of course, we're not supposed to believe everything, but just cross checking different sources, what people say on the ground, with boots on the ground. It seems like pretty big amount of people already killed on both sides. I suppose it's a pretty heavy number, maybe even a million people, um, if you split it on both sides. Maybe even 2 million. Who knows? Nobody knows. Actually, all these numbers are put in a secret. It's confidential information. Zelensky himself announced that only 31,000 Ukrainians soldiers were dead, but this doesn't fit into the narrative that everybody else is saying. So if you cross-check the information, you see that this number doesn't correspond to reality, because the cemeteries are growing. We don't see that in Russia though, but we still can be under pressure of some information dome that could be hiding all the facts. So nobody actually knows, but we don't see people getting caught and put in the buses where military people sit and some policemen help them sometimes. So it's an ordinary situation. You can mostly Google in YouTube or Telegram. You find out like 3 or 4 videos per day getting published in Ukraine, where people get just put in the buses, beaten. Some people die. There's a bunch of information that people just pay like $10,000 to escape from the bus, so not to get drafted by the recruiters. And so like people pay money just to go overboard. Some swim, some drown because water is still cold, as I've said. And like 30 drowned Ukrainians were found on one river, which is the border between Moldova and Ukraine. So a bunch of people go there. Some go through the mountain range. Some just leave their cars on the road, just drop them and run. So But Ukrainian army also has improved in these conditions. They using drones to track all these groups who are trying to cross the borders and all these wild areas where you cannot just patrol. So they getting caught. Some are getting shot. So we don't see that in Russia.
Okay.
So I think both sides suffer big amount of casualties, but obviously due to the overall prevalence in artillery and aircraft, especially these heavy bombs that are corrected bombs, which are now used like for 1 year or 2 years already. Probably much more casualties on the Ukrainian side, and we can see this relevance in the videos where people describe their situation. So it's like terrible because
FPV. Простреливай почти. Парни, М-ка! Давай, с правой стороны, быстро!
Давай, бегом!
Все, заходим!
Давай, дальше! Сейчас там пацаны идут! Деньги! Не завод, спереди! Да, пацаны!
Идут!
Спереди! Грубо, на впереди!
Бля!
Дальше!
Ну, блядь!
Сколько вас? Давай быстрее!
Давай! Залетели, блядь!
Давай! Давай, борс, давай! Давай!
Погнали!
Давай! Мы застряли на месте.
Мы разулись.
Давай!
Все, быстро. Да. Уходим!
Дай тогда это, бери сброю свою, все.
Только свое бери, уходи! Бросай, братан!
Я своих пулеметов.
Борс, ложись в яму, блядь! Що у нього, братан?
Руки, ноги. Связь, машина не їде, блядь. Машина не їде, блядь.
Діло, чекав, на зв'язок.
Піро на зв'язку, борс важкий 300. М-ка не їде, там щось наїбнулось. Ну, вся історія.
Плюс.
вони пішли. Пожалуйста. Мороз Піро, мороз Піро. Мороз 300?
А?
Мороз 300?
Да. А то теж 300.
У мене
Хто ще?
перебите.
Сука.
Хто ще 300?
Мороз 300, лисий ти старий. Пацани, давайте двигать. Ти перетягнув?
Він все, ну, у нього всі кінцівки, братан.
Всі кінцівки перебиті?
Так.
Знімай броню. Знімай броню, понесе. Залізеш на мене, понесу. Готов? Казувати.
Що там? Що там?
Все, нога, блядь, пацани. Все.
Ага.
Ні, я все, братан. Я все.
Ні, Піро, віддуй і повзи.
Братан, не поповзу.
Повзеш, лисий поповз, мороз поповз, і ти поповзеш. Давай, віддуй.
А у мене перелом.
Так, я погнав. Через за тебе вернусь.
Давай, Гектор, пожалуйста.
Давай, друг.
Спокійно. Не вздумай тільки взривати себе. Поняв?
Давай. Іди звідси.
Гектор, давай.
Бозик, я йду до тебе. Блядь, не дадуть мене нам пройти, братик. Не тут похуяли.
Ukrainians are basically the same Russians as we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been researching this history of Ukraine, and I found out that Bolsheviks actually started this. It was never a separate country. It was just a province of Russian Empire. We are not talking about these antique times, this 17th, 16th century. Yes, sometimes somebody was writing on the map word Ukraine, which is like the territory on the border or far away, on the edge of the country. Sometimes you can translate it like this. So both Polish and Russians call it the same, because Polish border Ukraine was, far away from the capital, and Russian Ukraine also was far away from the capital. It was the farthest, the most distant part of the Russian Empire. So it's just basically, if we just refer to these sources of 19th century, 17th century, basically it's a mixture of several territories which were basically under control of different countries. First one is Poland. Second one is Austro-Hungarian Empire, which was also destroyed during the First World War. And the part that was conquered by the Germans when the Soviet Union just was establishing. It was very weak after destruction of Russian Empire, after when Nikolai supposedly wrote that he resigns from the Tsar and nobody pick up this emperor crown. And so Bolsheviks overturned in like 6 or 7 months, and this fake government was dismantled. And after that it became this Russians Federative Socialistic Republic, which transferred, trying to split the territory that they obtained into several national republics, so to be more credential, because nobody actually recognized them in 18, 19, 20, 21, the year 22. Only after that there was a conference where everybody was invited to discuss what's gonna happen to Germany, the Weimar Republic, and so on. And then they were kind of invited first time. It was in Italy. This conference was in Italy in 1922, I believe. And they kind of said, like, you guys can sit with us, can talk and discuss everything if you pay all this money that Russian Empire own us, and so they just the debts were huge, like several $billion, I think, at that equivalent, which was quite big money. So nobody had this money, but on the other side, Russians were so smart that they connected with Germans, with Weimar Republic, and started to discuss the Weimar Republic was also on the ruins of destroyed Germany, so they had been, also very severely damaged, and both financially, and so they owned a bunch of money to the same guys, and so they kind of connected, made a little treaty, started trading with Soviets, send them, machinery and all these technologies of Germans. Russians were sending oil, gas, and so on. I think it's like all of these resources were sent to Germany. Even German pilots, German officers were trained on the Soviet territory because it was prohibited for the Weimar to have its own military training facilities, I think. So it was like a very good treaty. And so the Soviets on that conference said to the West that you own us like $20 billion. So let's just, because you were attacking us in Arkhangelsk, you were attacking us from St. Petersburg range, and so on. So it was like a stunned situation for them. They were thinking for 2 days what to respond to Soviets, and when they found out that Soviets were already in treaty with Germans, which was also supposed to be paying them all this money that they supposed to be paying after World War, they just found out that it's ridiculous. So Italy was, by the way, not the ally of the Germany at that time in the First World War, and were on the roll of those who kind of won the war. So
Yeah.
and that's just a bunch of information which is leading us to that Ukraine was finally made as a territory with the republic status only by the Soviet Union, and everybody knows that. But right now, this is like, I think it's just the same situation with just like we had with Finland, because Finland was a
Yeah.
part of Sweden all the way around.
Exactly.
Only in the beginning of 18th century, 19th century, yes, 19th century,
Yeah.
after the so-called Napoleon War, the Tsar gave it the status of, I think, a great county or Dutchness, I don't know, like Great Duke of Finland, and the status of a separate territory with its own currency. And so the people in Finland were just ordinary province inhabitants. They never had, big capitals, big cities. They just were paying all this money, all these taxes to Sweden all the way. And so they started to earn money after the Russian Empire gave them this status of separate territory with privileges and so on. And they never had any payments for border crossing of different goods, so they had bigger profits than everybody else, and they made big money through the 19th century. They had their own capitalist clan, their own intelligence clan, so started to make universities teaching people and so on. So and just like the war started, World War One, they said like we need to dismantle Russian Empire too, and they worked with Japan, worked with other like enemies of Russian Empire. So as long as it ended as a loss for Russian Empire, they separated from us, and the Soviets had to say okay, because they didn't have enough power to take them back. And after that, Finland became even more aggressive, started taking more territories from Soviets, and like grabbing all these lands, and they even wanted to go all the way to Urals. It doesn't remind me anything. Yes, it reminds me.
Yeah.
It reminds me everything, because Ukrainians talking the same. They said we want all these territory all the way to Caucasus Mountains, all these territories all the way to Moscow. So it's like we, the establishers of Russia, Russians are just Asians. They never have been anything, but the aggression. So it's just the same, and all these are being pushed by the West, sponsored by the West, just to get more resources and get more land from Russia to weaken it, to just grab it from Russian people, but because basically all these managers are from the same club, but they have to, kind of advocate it to the people, saying like, yeah, we're like, we lost this land, for example, or we gave this land sovereignty and we gave them separate state status, so that's why they don't pay to us anymore, and we have like difficulties. Tighten your belts, go to work, and just obey. So that's basically how it works.
Yeah. I totally agree with you, actually. But some people try to always try to understand what can happen in the next future. No, someone start to talk also about this prophecy of the red calf. I don't know if you know something. No, that they have to in Israel. They have to kill this red calf like a ritual stuff to start something new, like a new war, the three world war. What do you think about what can happen in the next months, next
The,
times?
f- the first one who said the World War III already started was the Pope Francisco. It wasn't like in 2014, if I'm not wrong. He said like the war was already started in 2013. It could be just the first stage of it, which was Ukrainian conflict. It was started exactly at this period, winter 2013, when the Americans ignited this coup situation, started to make this Maidan, and there were people like gathering on this square, big square. People were chanting, just let's get rid of Russians, kill all the Russians, and so on. Like, it started like this. They were jumping and screaming, and all these fire shows of Nazis that was already performing for years in Ukraine. Nobody was even taking a look at it. If you Google Nazis in Ukraine, you find out these clips of BBC just reporting from these fire torch marches where all these Nazis march in Kiev and other cities. But if you check for the timeline, is like 2017, 2018, they started to say that, oh, these are not just, these Nazis are not enough. They don't, they don't change anything. They have a small representation in the government. They don't have any leading position, opinion leading, and so on. But year after year, this is like a snowball. I
Yeah,
think currently, like,
start growing. Yeah,
yeah, 60% of influence is in their talking points, because they're saying no Russian language, no Russians, kill the Russians, kill, just, everything, blame it on Russians. So it's just the same as it was with Jews. Like, Jews were blamed for everything in the Nazi Germany. So were Russians, by the way, because first Hitler was never acknowledging Slavs as a second class people. He was saying that we all on the same Aryan race and so on, like Italy, French. They just the same Aryans as we are, Nordic people, but they lost their language. That's what he was saying. But they are the same type of people. We can communicate to them. But then he started to say, "Oh no, Soviets are Jews. Soviets are Jews, and so all the leaders of Soviet are Jews, and so just these are slaves. So the second class people. We
yeah,
cannot, we cannot heal them from that. So although we, as a DNA genealogy, currently the research shows that we probably just have a little difference, all of us in Europe, and
yeah,
we
yeah.
can talk on
We
that.
talked about also of this in our past this speaking.
Yeah,
We our last chat we say that all the Europe is quite similar. No, they have just
yeah,
a little. Difference between their DNA, but we can say that North Italian is the same of Montenegrin or other things, no?
Yeah, so he was thinking. He was thinking about this maybe until 1939, because only in 1939 he found out that British were not pleased with him, because he took this small part of Czechoslovakia, which was called Czech, and he actually occupied it, but he didn't take Slovakia, and the part that was called Zakarpatska Ukraina also. It was branded it, but it was never Ukraina before. So it was just a part of the area where people who are living there saying that they are Russians. They were saying that they were Russians. But some people came from Ukraine, some people came from Poland, and they made this so-called a Nazi movement calling them Ukraine. So to be liberated from Polish and Czech and Slovaks and so on. So was in Slovakia, by the way. So Hitler was smart enough not to take Slovakia and not to take this part of Czechoslovakia called Zakarpattia or Carpathian Ukraine, and that was,
Carpathy.
yeah, it was just a small area which was before in the Austro-Hungarian empire. But Hungarians were also nationalistic, and they said it's our land, and so Germans closed their eyes. Hungarians took this Zakarpattia, and that pissed the British off. They started to demonize Hitler after that, and saying that, look, he is our enemy. He is our enemy. He's not, doing what we told him. He is not going east. And their initial idea was to push him east through this Czechoslovakia corridor, because it connected to Russian Ukraine. This Zakarpattian Ukraine and Russian Ukraine have a common border. So they wanted Hitler to go all the way to Czechoslovakia, to Zakarpattia, and start the war with Russians, with Soviets, because it would be a conflict anyway, because we have Ukraine, they have Ukraine, and nationalistic tensions could ignite the conflict, and after that the military stage would be possible. So that was their initial idea. That's why they gave him Austria, that's why they gave him Czech, so-called Munich conspiracy, which nobody asked Czechoslovakia, by the way, if they want to go back to Germany. Czech kingdom was Bohemian kingdom inside of this Austro-Hungarian empire. Never was Germany or Weimar Republic. Yes, it had Germans on as a big part of the population, but the second case was the case with Danzig. It's the Polish city of Gdańsk currently. It was called Danzig before because it was a part of German Hanseatic Union, and also Prussia. So it was connected to them. So Hitler wanted from Poland only one thing. He wanted the corridor of the train, not even a road, but just a railroad. So he could connect to Danzig and could connect it to Prussia. But Polish were thinking the opposite. They wanted to be what the British would tell them, because British and French were their biggest allies. So they also were in France, with Germans. After this Carpathian Ukrainian case happened, Polish started to think, what is gonna happen to us? Right now, Hitler is not going east, so he said, like, Polish foreign minister said that we supposed to go all the way to Berlin and start the war if anything happens to us on the border with Germany, and France and Britain supposed to help them. And so that was their mistake. They supposed to give this Danzig thing to Hitler, and nothing would happen actually, and probably both Poland and Germany would attack Soviet Union as it was designed. But they, had this issue. They didn't take it serious, I think, and Hitler just wanted to show the British that he is serious, and so he took Poland, occupied Poland, split it with Russians. Some part that was also taken by the Polish after the World War I, because, as I've said, Soviet Union was very weak. So Finland bought its some land, Poland bought its some land of Belarusia, which was a part of Soviet Union. So they just took it back, this Belarusian territory and the territory of Ukraine. With the treaty, so-called Molotov, forgot the name, Ribbentrop Treaty or Pact. It was signed like a week prior to invasion to Poland. So Germany was working hard to sign this treaty, but the British and French were not even interested in signing any treaty with Soviet Union, because their design was to send Germans. They even supposed to give away this Poland, because they lied to Polish that they gonna ignite in the war. They never did. They never did send anybody. Poland was totally ripped apart in 2 weeks, and so that was the case. They lied again. The same happened to France, by the way, because the second step was a phony war for around 6 or 7 months when nothing happened on the Western Front, which probably would give the big chance of destroying Germany if French and British would attack at that period of time. But nobody attacked. They just waited and waited what Hitler's gonna do next. If he going east, that's okay. If he's going west, then we're gonna fight. And when Hitler finally understood that nobody's gonna talk to him from the British side, because it was like also separate opinion in the British. Some were believing Hitler is good, some were thinking that he is bad,
Yeah.
because he's not responding to their direct orders and so on. So Hitler wanted to be just on the same level with these people. So he wanted to say like, yes, you are hegemons, but we are like, we are watching your back. We are, taking care of Europe. Eastern Europe is our priority. Western Europe is your France, and so on. But when Hitler attacked France, it was also a big chance of destroying his army. French were building this Maginot Line, very big, very distant, very long protection line, defensive line, and Hitler just went over it through Belgium and Holland. And that was the case for British and French troops to make them encircle and trap them there. But British stopped marching, stopped obeying these French generals' orders, their plan. They just turned around and ran away to Dunkirk. Some French troops also went to this escape route. And Hitler at that time didn't want to bomb British, and so he let them escape. If you actually watch the movie about Dunkirk operation, it's funny. Like Hitler's bombing these people, those just using sail roads, all these civil boats. Everybody's helping these troops to retreat. Nobody's taking a fight. But actually, it was just Hitler let them escape. He could have just
Yeah.
he could have
Yeah.
destroy everybody there on the shore. They have no protection. Hitler had all prevalence in the air, so I don't think all these documents that I've been checking through tell that Hitler just let them escape, because he wanted to be a friend of Britain. He loved Britain very much. His second buddy Hess was also a big fan of British, and so they just wanted to split the world with British. That's what their idea was. And even destroying France was to show the British that they are just good enough to be their friends. But British took it very serious, because Churchill was in friends with American banking clan, so they wanted to reorganize the world and destroy the British Empire, is what my guess is, because that led, actually, their alliance with Americans led to destruction of British Empire. So who was actually, and one of the secretaries of Churchill actually wrote in his diary that there was a guy whose name was well, no matter who, doesn't matter what his name was. He was a big leader of opinion there, also in aristocracy and so on. And so he was writing Churchill a letter saying, "Don't start a world war. Don't do it. Just sign a treaty with Germans, because Germans want us just to split the Europe and just stay in
Yeah.
our positions, just give them their colonies that we took them after World War One in Africa and so on. That's all Germans want, and that's a good way to resolve this war and stop it. Actually, France was already done. Poland was already, the whole Europe was already mostly under German control, and they say like, just stop it, just sign what they want, because what you are doing, you provoking not a several hundred or thousand casualties war, you are provoking millions of people casualties war. But
Yeah.
Churchill just was so pissed off after he read this letter by this guy, and he said, "No, no, no,
It's
no, 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 no.
yeah.
We are starting the war because Soviets are gonna help us after Hitler attacks them, and also Americans gonna help us after they join us in this war. So we're gonna just destroy Germany, and that's what also the plan B for them, because the plan A was to send Germany to Soviet Union, and after they pass through Poland as their allies, and France was supposed to be, Poland and Britain will destroy Germany after they suffer major losses in USSR, and that was their initial plan, but it didn't,
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. I understand.
And I don't know
I
if you
understand.
know it. France then was separated in two parts: Vichy France and the occupied part of France with Paris.
I didn't know.
France had signed a treaty with Germany that they are not gonna attack Germans anywhere anymore, and that they are not gonna help Germans to attack British, because British said, okay, sign a treaty with Germany. We betrayed you, yes, but okay, you occupied, you can do it. Just sign a treaty with Germany, but take in mind that you cannot attack us anymore until the war is over, because we're in war in Germany right now. And so all these French ships, French had a big navy, were located in the ports amid this treaty, and supposed to stand there in conserve for whatever time the war was in. Nobody's supposed to be, fighting using these navy ships and so on. That was the treaty. And Germans said, okay, but like 1 or 2 weeks after the treaty was signed, the peace treaty was signed between Germany and France, British special forces attacked all the French navy ships in Africa and in French colonies and in British ports. So they used special forces with guns and ammunition to attack their own allies who were located on the ships docked in their ports. Just imagine. Just to take these ships and make sure Germans will never get them anymore. That was one of the stupidest and idiotic decisions by Churchill. But it
Yeah. Sure.
showed that we can do what we want to do, and you are nothing because we want to do it. So
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that's true. But how is the situation now between America and Russia? You can say between also Trump and Putin. A lot of people say something about their connection, but how is now?
I think both Putin and Trump say some different opinions about each other. But Trump is praising Putin sometimes, like kind of saying, hey, he's smart, he's okay, but I would deal with him. It's not no problem. Russia and Ukraine will be in peace if I was a president, not Joe Biden, so on. But it doesn't back any reality. I think Trump just the same part of the club. I was thinking first that Trump was, somebody that was pushed by some third power, which doesn't want to be helping both Republicans and Democrats, because I think Republicans and Democrats are basically controlled by the same deep state. And so I was thinking the first time when it was like 2016, 2015, I was thinking, oh, that guy is pushed by somebody else. But now I understand that he was probably sponsored and controlled by the Democratic branch. I think his role was to destroy Republican Party, to discredit all these patriotic, attempts to turn this United States order from liberal to patriotic or Republican, as it was supposed to be. Now we know that Trump actually saying that he can pardon all these people from the 6th of January case, and he is also trying to engage these people to vote for him. But I don't think they're gonna let anyone help actually to win the election if they don't want Trump to be a president. So knowing how they counted all these elections results last time, I probably think nothing changed in 4 years. So I don't think Trump's gonna be actually a Republican president, nor I think he can actually change anything in the war with Russia and Ukraine. He probably is gonna be the one who's gonna be pushing for more war when he comes to be in power. Or maybe they're just gonna use him to win the elections from Biden, because Biden's clan is not good enough. As we know, Victoria Nuland was resigned in March, and maybe these people like Kamala Harris and ex-Obama administration people can be pushed from this money laundering machine of United States. Who knows? Because they earn a big money sending money to Ukraine, and probably get some money back for them in private accounts. I'm not sure, but that is the only explanation why they're doing it, because sending so much money and not control it, how it's spent, is basically is like not investigating the crime, because you are the criminal. To control the prosecution and this investigative detective department, just because they can finally find out that you are in charge of this crime, you are the organizing part. And so this is how it's actually, I think they gonna turn this Trump thing into something more complex than it even seems to be right now. Maybe the Trump is the next step of war president. I have a video after his visit to North Korea, and it was one of my first videos about decodings of the hidden sense of what he was saying, and there was like a 6 years of peace decoding after that video. So that was in 2016, I think. Yes, and right now we have 2018. Now we have 2024. So 6 years passed. Now it's time for the war, because it was predicted during the so-called after Cold War period, when Americans were training them, practicing, drilling, intellectual drills, I would say. So it's like prediction or projecting something in the future. And one of these projections was the war with China, and it was supposed to start in 2025. So now we have 2024.
So, yeah, here we are.
And the reason that we're supposed to be starting is because Ukraine and Russia had a war where Ukraine was was fighting on the NATO side, and Russia was trying to, I don't know what. I actually posted that video from 1997, where first Ukrainian president and one of the Russian political opinion leaders were debating in Russia, and the guy who was actually hosting the show said this to them, asking what is the difference, why you think that you're not Russians, and so on. And so Ukrainian president said, well, you always say that on Ukraine, not in Ukraine, but on Ukraine and in Ukraine, what's the difference?
Yeah, sure.
If you watch American news, sometimes they write war on Ukraine. uh, Nobody's pissed off of them, but they are pissed off of Russians saying what is Russian language prescribes to say on Ukraine. Like you say, well, it's something like we used to say, and we cannot, just take it away. Sometimes I say in Ukraine, sometimes I say on Ukraine when I talk Russian. So it just depends on context of what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's the
sure.
first thing they didn't like. The second thing they didn't like is that we are thinking that they are like younger brother, like we're older brother and they younger brother, and that's what they didn't like. It was 1997. I mean, that's stupid, right? Younger brother, older brother issue. Of course, somebody can beat the older brother is sometimes stronger than the younger brother. But when the younger brother catches up and grows, he can beat the older brother. So it's like eternal fight in the family where brothers can fight. So I mean, nothing is serious actually there. But the third thing that he didn't like is that they want to go to Europe, be a part of Europe, which nobody actually rejects. Be a part of Europe, but not be a part of NATO. Don't put the NATO bases close to our territory. That's what Putin is trying to say for years now, like since whatever year he's a president, saying, no, 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 don't put NATO bases here. Don't put missiles that can fly all the way to Moscow in 2 minutes. Don't do this, don't do that. And that's what these professors from America, like John Mersheimer, as I've been posting lately, Mr. Professor Jeffrey Sachs also saying this. Like they remember everything as I do, because I was living in this era. I remember who was promising what to whom, and who lied, and so on. So I can kind of compare what they were saying back then and what is actually happening. And what we see is actually some countries around Soviet Union were never NATO countries. Now they are, and that was the final red line, or just the cause of the war, future reset. Maybe it's just scripted, as my theory is also telling that they have a script to ignite the war several parts of the world at certain time, just to have a world war reset. And so the Crimea is the land of eternal interest of Russians, Western civilization, and Jews, because Jews always wanted to have Israel and Crimea. And southern part of Ukraine was heavily populated by Jewish families. It was also Khazarian and so on. So Odessa, Nikolaev, Dnepropetrovsk, which is currently Dnepr, Kharkiv, have big Ukrainian Jews clans there. They even control these cities. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's just a point of intersection of interest, but it's a center of interest. Actually, the heartland is connected to this Crimea. I'm far away, like 70 kilometers from the shore
You're there.
of Crimea.
Minchia.
Drones are flying
Well,
almost each day here, so I see fighter jets above my head like twice, 3 times a day. So the
that's
war is
not
close.
good, eh? That's not good.
Not very good. Yeah.
No, yeah, really not. Well, thank you for this portrait of the past and the present and the future of our story. Um, Now I would like to go on your last research, because I noticed that in your YouTube channel that I like to show to the people, so the people can subscribe and see what actually you are doing in your website, how they call it, because you are starting this new format, if we can call it like this, 3344 issue. this is very nice. This is a very nice research. I try to see now what actually you are studying, but I would like to if you can explain us what actually happened in this research.
Well, actually, what I'm trying to prove here is that there's a big correlation to numerology and so-called presence in the some club. Okay, so if we scroll through all these videos, we'll find several hundreds of examples of this issue. Uh, One of the biggest videos that I think biggest in evidence was the video about Moscow case, because we had
Yeah,
this.
I noticed this morning. I saw it.
Yeah, everything is connected to 3344 there. I don't know why, because my friend Russian Vits, he's doing these decodings for years now, and I'm also commenting in some of his videos, and so it's not like only in the Hollywood or music industry, it's also in politics. And so
Yeah,
just
because no, we are pointing always in the Hollywood music, other stuff, but there is a lot of more around politicians, other stuff. No, also in the things that happen in our world. I saw that you can describe with numbers what happened, studying the situation. This is very really good to do. A lot of people don't do it.
well, yes, it's just like me and maybe somebody else and Russian vids who are doing this research, if you call it research. But I just cannot unsee it anymore. If I go to this hot news and media channel, you find out these titles, you find out speakers who are related to this numerology. Uh, but sometimes you can find just an ordinary person whose name or last name or whatever can be also correlate with 44, 33, or 77, 99, 66. It doesn't mean anything, by the way, because we are not spotlighted by the media. We don't make big money. We are not on the news. We are not getting called by different news agencies to give our report on this or that case or our opinion. We are not answering the question to the big ones. But this everybody was pretty sure that these mainstream media channels are in this, but nobody was actually checking the so-called alternative media. And I started to do that too, because like Tucker Carlson, Redacted, Judge Napolitano, all these speakers that are just merry-go-round going on these channels, this and there, and it's all related. It's all related to the same club. So it's just like with Democrats and Republicans, when they control both sides of the spectrum. So they do with the media. They control both sides of YouTube spectrum. They control both sides of media spectrum, and that's how they operate the script, make it going. So yes, some people are like kind of hidden in conspiracy and so on. For example, I found this guy. His name was Lev Vershinin. The story is very interesting because when the war started in Ukraine in 2014, one Russian volunteer whose name was Igor Strelkov or Igor Girkin, with the last name Strelkov, a pseudonym, was the one who ignited the counteraction from the Donbas territories. He was Russian, and he came from Crimea after successful Crimean referendum. They've seen in the news that Ukrainians are moving their troops on Donbass to just to take control of the territory, because people didn't want them to establish their new laws of Ukrainian language as a primary language, because everybody was speaking Russian in Kharkiv, in Donbass, in Dnipropetrovsk, in Odessa, in Nikolaev. Mostly people were speaking Russian. And it was started to change because the schools are closing, Everybody started to, learn Ukrainian, become patriotic, pretend that they are Ukrainian, even if they are not. And so Russia was blamed for everything, of course. And suppose some people started to counteract, and this Igor Strelkov, came to Donbass and became the first minister of defense of this republic, Donetsk Republic. And he was fighting like for 3 or 4 months there, had some success, had some issues, had some failures, but still was pretty good, and didn't let Ukrainians take over. And at a certain point in August, I think, of 2014, he was dismantled. He resigned, and it was like a weird, fishy story, like you said about the story with David before we started this chat. Just fishy story. Nobody was understanding what's going on. Why is he leaving? Why is he fleeing to Moscow? He's supposed to be their leader and so on, but everybody believed in him. Most people believed in him. But he retreated. He went to Moscow saying that he was pressed to do that. And for years he was talking about this war, criticizing government of Russia, not helping Ukraine, Donbass, not fighting Ukraine, because Ukraine could have been stopped, as the case with Germans, which could be stopped in 1939, 1940, and they weren't, and were led to be as big as they were eventually before the invasion to USSR. So is this. Everybody was protecting Ukraine from something, from Russians. This Minsk Treaty ended up to be fake, as Putin say. They've been lying to us for 8 years, like he didn't know that. But Russian prankers called Angela Merkel, Francois Hollande, and were talking with him on the phone, pretending that they're Ukrainians, and so Merkel and Hollande said that all these years of Minsk Treaty was just to let Ukraine to gain more power, more arms, more trained units, so it can, take back the territory of Donbass. So basically it was confirmed by those who signed the treaty. Putin said that they lied, and Merkel and Hollande in a private chat with these prankers also confirmed it. Zelensky was saying pretty much the same before he was ignited the president, before he started to be a presidential candidate. He was also saying like, let us speak Russian, we are Russian speaking, so why don't we speak Russian? We're supposed to be friends with Russians, so we're supposed to be friends with Donbass, integrate them peacefully, just elect me and I'll do anything to make a peace. But he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything, and eventually he became a British agent, is what I think, because he was the first president who visited MI6 headquarters in London. And when they started to ask him about, he was like very ashamed of that and just put this under the carpet. Nobody was seeing anything, but
Yeah.
some videos left from that day, and some people said it loud in the media. So I also have this in one of my videos as a evidence that he was probably hired by British intelligence MI6 by Roger Moore, with him he was meeting privately in London. And after that they started to prepare for the war and so on. So that's how it's going on. So every step with this Strelkov, starting with Strelkov, can be put in some timeline. And if you actually do numerology on Strelkov, you would find out that he is also related to this club. Both his fake name, pseudonym, and first name are related to 33. And the guy that he was also quoting each and every day, because he was criticizing Russian government for all these years, for 8 years, and nobody was putting them to prison. Even after war started, this special operation started, and Russia had assigned a law which you cannot discredit the Russian military forces. He was just doing it daily basis. He was saying that the Ministry of Defense is corrupt. He was, just doing what anybody else couldn't do, because you would get in prison for that officially. And eventually they got him arrested, not that long ago, like last year. and currently we have this criminal case, and he got 4 years for that case, and currently he is trying to appeal that, but I don't think he's gonna do it. So the guy he was quoting, Lev Vershinin, who was born in Odessa in the Soviet Union when it was Ukrainian Soviet Republic. Then he was trying to make money in Russia, and was a big writer and historian. Then he moved to Israel, got Israeli citizenship, and then he moved to Spain. Currently living in Spain. That's the guy that Strelkov was praising as a big mind, that big analytic and prophet of what's gonna happen, and everything's going exactly as Lev Vershinin was saying. And I checked him also. He's 33. His last name is 33. And I checked on his YouTube channel. He's got a crawfist title for his playlist, which has 33 videos in it. Second playlist is called Alternative, in Russian Alternativa, also 33 about Hitler. I watched like four of his videos, and so on. And I got little research on him, found out that his nickname on Facebook also 33. His live journal page where he is putting all this text also relates to 33. So they're not hiding, and he's even saying, I'm not gonna speak and respond on a question that I don't understand, that I'm not actually familiar with, that I don't know. I always answer the questions that I am actually in good knowledge about. So that's what I'm doing. And once in a while, he's getting these questions about Masons, and he said like, well, Masons, yes, Masons exist. Yeah, there's one part of Masons who are so kind of decorative, and they just have all these ceremonies and so on. They just, like the tip of the iceberg that everybody can see in their towns. They have these headquarters everywhere. In Russia, we have like several of these headquarters of Masons, of Russians, Grand Lodge of Russia. These are the Masons, the ceremonial Masons, whatever you can call them. And people connect to me on Instagram, sending me swords of their grandfather and their hats, and their 33-degree, like they're just saying, oh, my grandfather was a good person, he can't be this evil, look at this, he had a sword, he had a this. So I'm saying, so these are ceremonial, as this Lev Vershinin said in his response. And he said like, yes, there's like another type of Masons who have more power, who are like, control this world. And so like saying, what? That's a confession. Basically, before that, he was saying that he's not gonna respond on a question that he's not familiar with, never does that, and that's his like reputation. He's never talking shit, like if you say like if he doesn't know anything, like making stuff up just from thin air, So he knows that he's probably the part of this Mason clan. And so what is he doing? Actually, he's like a good fisherman, sitting and fishing, attracting fish with this truthful information about the World War II, the initial cause of that, the Hitler history, presenting all these facts that nobody actually had before, or maybe quoting some people who are rarely quoted, or maybe having some special opinion about who was financing Hitler prior to 1933. The year, by the way, 1933, the year that the Nazis came to power, and 1939, 39 and 33 again, the year that the World War started, right? So it's all connected, I think, and you can cross-check it on each and every level through this small blogger channel who are just good opinion leaders for the revolution starters or whatever, and through this mainstream channel, and through these alternative media channels like Redacted, Judge Napolitano,
John Levy.
John Levy, just one of these channels that I found out that's also 33.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the case with John Levy is actually I've been talking about it is uh, he popped up at the start of all this research, maybe a year after I started it. Um, he had like less subscribers than everybody else. He was less well known, and but he was kind of in the same information with us. So it's kind of you. Sometimes people say it's clear. Sometimes they say it in abstract way. So he was like more abstract, more artistic, I would say, in his presentations. He's like asking questions instead of telling the answers, and he's stuck to this case. But I didn't check that him back then. I checked just my Google Gmail, where I have all these notifications about all the comments of the people who wrote comments on my channel,
Yeah.
and I realized that he commented only once when I was talking about Jewish influence in Russian Revolution in 1917. That all the Jewish agents came from New York and so on. So uh, and 15 Russian Soviet Union commissars first were Jews. Uh, One was half Jew, and 14 were clear Jewish. So that was just one of the videos, and I'm not, blaming Jews for the revolution or
Sure.
something. Yeah,
Sure.
it just these people were smarter, smartest people that they could find, and probably when you find one smart Jew, he brings his brothers, nephews, uncles with him, just like would maybe an Italian guy would do, like Mussolini, like when he got in power.
Yeah, it's 33. Yeah.
So he was doing the same as Hitler would do the same. He was trying to bring Germans. He was not trying to bring Americans or British to his associates. He was bringing Germans, and that's his raceology theory. He even established the institute that researched the raceology, this so-called fake science about races and stuff. He was paying them big money. And so
Yeah.
I'm thinking about anything, any nation, um, whatever you name it, will bring their own kind to their associates and partners if they have this big position, right? So
Yeah.
if just imagine if the Obama wouldn't be elected, would we have so many African Americans currently in administration? Would we have so many LGBT members? Because Obama was the first one who put the LGBT flag
Yeah.
on White House, and after that,
Mhm.
it changed. All this,
Yeah. Everything changed.
everything changed. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything changed. Yeah. Actually. Well. That's so good to know that you are looking for this kind of research, because I really like. So please continue. And people, guys, if you want to visit his YouTube channel, you can do it, sure, and find a lot of nice research. Also about lost history, hidden history, if you want to call it like this, like the mud flood, the melting, the other stuff that I would like to talk with you actually, maybe in the next time. Now we have already a lot of information of the situation that we live. But if you agree, we can do it a next appointment, how you call it, next time together, where we can talk about some things that I really cannot explain. I would like to talk about geopolymers and ancient building.
Okay. I don't talk about melting as a base theory. I'm just trying to debunk the melting as the cause of a mud flood, because some people trying
Yeah,
to explain everything with melting, but it doesn't, add up to some reality. If you actually take a big take a look at this, you find out melting does something different to rocks and stones that these people trying to present, and that's was one of the first thing that I was mentioning, by the way, on John Levy's, because he jumped on this topic and started to hype on it when it became popular, and I was trying to check his videos, what he was saying step by step, and trying to explain what we see in different way, and saying that he is either trying to manipulate with the information or lying, or simply lying because he doesn't even know what he's talking about. Well, I didn't even check him that back then. I didn't even check his numerology and stuff like this. It ended up that he became very popular on these theories and so on. So that might be a sign that he is a part of the club, because some ordinary people, when they have this numerology and they don't have any hype, and they have any background reference quotations,
Exactly. Yeah.
interviews, uh, big spotlight by YouTube, no censorship. Name me who has it. No,
Hmm.
we don't have him. And so I don't think these people are part of the club. But some people who have like thousands of subscribers, by the way, but not even talking about anything serious, actually just asking questions, throwing up all this information like shit on the fan. So everybody just watches all these particles fly around with no idea what to do with it, actually,
Hmm.
just to gather more payments from their patrons. I don't know what is the reason. I don't think you can live from the YouTube advertisement. You cannot survive with this
Yeah,
money
someone
in the
can do
current
it
world.
actually. Yeah, so
Oh,
someone in Italy do it.
um, I don't know who can actually live on the money from YouTube, but I have
Not
in my
us.
in my position several channels with big amounts of subscribers, which I manage these channels, and I know how much money they make and from what. It's not YouTube, it's sponsor contracts and so on. So if you don't have the influence and money from outside of YouTube, you probably will get broke with this channel, because mm, you you cannot just produce quality content all the time and not burn out as an author, as a content creator. You're supposed to have some um, constant growth and money flow, because, well, just imagine you do it for year, for second year, for third year, for fourth year, you're getting like maybe $2,000 maximum from this advertisement. But you have to put all your efforts inside of that. Eventually, if you stop making as much videos as you used to, some of your subscribers don't get notifications, some are, just forget about you. You have less views, and that's the common story for the channels I've been analyzing, like having 500,000 or million subscribers doesn't help you to maintain the level of the income from the advertisement, especially after new rules of advertising came out, were rolled out by YouTube. So now they have
Yeah.
this membership issue. Well, membership is not also making enough money. So only if you have like 20, 30 million subscribers, probably you have enough memberships and patrons for this production to be going on. As like Mr. Beast has, maybe you know this author, he has like multiple language soundtrack on each video, and they provided it to him as one of the first beta test content creators. He has it, so like he can
But we
upload.
are talking. Sorry, you are talking about big money, actually, no?
Big money, yeah. So I think that once you start making big money, you understand that you're supposed to have a team which you're supposed to pay to, and this
Yeah.
team's supposed to be professional, so you can compete with big channels who have this type of teams. They have this type of money, so there's no way you can survive in this battle and not lose audience and not
Yeah.
lose this creation, uh, impulse that you had before when you just started your channel.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
worked
Sure.
hard. So
Well, in my opinion, I have to say that maybe the numbers that you need to have a big, I don't know how to say, but to be part of the club, it's different from, for example, Italy to Russia to Holland. In Italy, I noticed that people that have like 100,000 subscribes is already part of the club. I have to say in some way. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, some countries have less, restrictions. Some have more restrictions for money and advertisement. Uh, Western Europe has like $2 or $3 per thousand views rate. Great Britain, I think, like $4 per thousand, and USA is up to $6 per thousand views. So
Yeah.
you can make money from it, but if you are like broadcasting in, I don't know, Thailand, or I don't know,
Yeah, that's different. Sure.
that's a
Yeah.
big difference. So no way you can survive with this money and
Yeah.
produce quality content which can compete with big channels. So all the big channels that make money basically are located in the European countries, or just these travel channels who go all the way, to
Hmm.
travel the world. But I think they also make money from sponsorships and so on. So I don't think
Mm.
and they you can survive a long time. So YouTube is basically sucking all this creative impulse from their creative content creators, gets the best of them, and then
Hmm.
starts to regulate and cut all these views and subscribers attention from you,
See.
because they need other people to get watch time, not only you. So it's like
Sì,
a
sì, sì.
snowball. Yeah, as I've been saying. So very, very strange business actually, but it's how it is.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Well, what can I say? I really thank you for to be with us actually, and I really hope that you can come back again in our channel to talk for our other speeches. And nothing. Have a good time in Crimea, and
And
stay
I'm close
safe.
to it. I'm not in Crimea. I'm just close to it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, well, I
stay
can
safe.
I can see it, but I'm not there. Yeah,
Okay.
just contact me
So,
anytime you want. If I have ability, we can connect and do another episode with whatever questions you have. If you have some specific questions, just let me know in your announcement, so I can
okay.
prepare and show something, not just be a talking head. Okay.
Yeah, this one I just want to talk with you because we don't talk for a long time, and it's a kind
Yeah,
of
sure.
restart. Okay.
Yeah, sure, sure. Whatever. We can do it.
Thank you
See
very
you
much,
later.
Phil. See you later.
Thank you. Yeah, bye bye.